welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Dan,
Chris,
and Lee.
Anyone got any news?
No.
No,
Well, a little bit. It's that time, isn't it?
We've done extensive research, and February is pretty boring.
Yeah.
Well, it is and it isn't, because we also said a couple of weeks ago that nothing ever happens in the off season. But
And that week, everything did.
yeah. We might be eating those words a little bit this week, because not an awful lot has happened. We're at that time of the year, sort of, during a Formula One race, you sort of get that kind of lull just before somebody makes that second pit stop.
Yeah.
This is where we are now. We're sort of like, who's going to make the first move? Anyone going to do anything?
Well, yes,
No one doing anything?
it looks like someone is going to do something because Sauber are launching their car first.
Sauber are launching their car first, and it is 1 week today.
So they're going to do it on a Monday, so there's going to be F1 stuff happening on a Monday and not a Tuesday.
Yeah,
So ladies
they're
and
going to
gentlemen-
do it at 10:30.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
Hey, doesn't matter. I don't download the picture until Tuesday morning.
Well,
They've got
there
till
you go.
10:30 Tuesday morning to do
So we
this.
can just be very vague about talking about the Sauber and then just stick a picture on the end of it.
Yeah,
The car looks really,
Yeah, it really does.
you
yeah.
can tell that's a car.
It
And
looks-
those
no.
things.
Look
are
at
the
those
things.
wheels.
It's got some.
It's got 4 wheels. I hope it's got 4 wheels.
Did anyone expect they were going to do that with the design?
No.
My God, this is like listening to next week's show already.
It is. So this time next week,
We'll
we
have nothing to talk about.
Exactly.
Because we've already said it.
No, we should be talking about the release of the first Formula One car for 2017,
So
image-wise.
We'll know what they're going to look like rather than the mock-ups that we've seen or the 2015 Ferrari with the 2017 wings.
there've been some problems with that.
Yeah, that Sebastian Vettel stuck in some tyres.
Who would have thought you could cram a load more downforce on a car that isn't designed for it?
Well, yeah, there is that, isn't there? Pirelli were running a tyre test with Ferrari.
I think, if I remember right, teams have done this before, though, haven't they?
Oh, yeah.
When
this has
the
happened
Formula
before.
One, when the rules were sort of suggested for 2017, teams had already
Booked tests and things.
but they like last year or maybe even the year before, they put bigger wings on to try and simulate the downforce.
I think what they were trying to do was sort of look forward even past 2017, because 2017 tyres are done. They're sort of signed off basically. That's what you're going to have for 2017. But it was looking at sort of how they might be able to improve the wet weather tyres for 2018. Trying out various tread patterns and things.
I'm going to say fail.
Well, this is what a point I was going to get to. They're already looking forward to 2018, seeing maybe what they can do with the tread patterns to possibly improve. Just gather some data and see what they could come up with. So Vettel did something like 40 laps, I think it was, around a wet Mugello Fiorano track.
Yeah, artificially wet as well.
But yeah, I tell you what, it was wet. Like
Yeah.
when you saw
It was soaking wet, but and then he had what looked like a rather bizarre spin, and he hit the tyre wall. The Ferrari called it a heavy crash. Was it? Would you say it was heavy? The video was on our Facebook page. I think it was posted by Charlie. Wasn't
He got a bruised elbow from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was like I don't think it was a broken Vettel. I think it was just
No.
the car couldn't be fixed.
Yeah, and it was.
And also, you don't want to risk a broken Vettel a week before or 2 weeks
But
before
the thing
testing
is,
actually starts.
Giovinazzi was supposed to go and actually test on the Friday, and they cancelled his test.
They didn't have enough spares, apparently.
Correct.
But that makes sense though. If you're just going to mock a car up,
Yeah. It also seems quite strange that it's a 2015 car with 2017 simulated downforce levels. So that to me...
Yeah, because you're not allowed to do any tests in a car that's less than 2 seasons old.
Yeah. No, I know that, yes. But it's... It just seems strange to me that they decided to do that in order to test 2018 tyres. Now, I would think if they're already looking at 2018 tyres, this might be something that happens every year, and this is just the first time I can remember hearing about it. But that says to me that Pirelli, maybe they're not sure about the performance of their wet weather tyres for 2017.
Well,
I think it's more to do with fucking Ferrari scabbing a test.
Possibly. And is it not to do with the fact that maybe their wet weather tyres aren't as good as they think they might be? So we might see a change, even though they're saying it's for 2018, mid-season, after like the first wet race. We're going to have to redevelop those wet tyres because we didn't have enough testing with 2017 cars.
Well, one of the biggest criticisms of Formula One at the moment, apart from all the other criticisms, is what happens in the wet.
Yeah.
That they can't race if it's
supposed to get wild when it's wet.
Yeah.
They can't race. Look
So-
at Brazil.
Amongst our criticisms are fear and surprise.
So it does make sense that would be what Pirelli are focusing on.
Yeah. It does make sense that they'd be focusing on that.
Can
but-
we fix this?
Yeah, but I'm thinking that Pirelli are perhaps thinking themselves, we haven't had any time with a 2017 car. It's all been simulated downforce. We need to maybe think of alternatives in case our wet weather tyres, especially, are not up to the job of the speeds that these cars are going to be able to take corners.
One of the complaints that seems to have been all the way through the Pirelli tyre development, because they've tried God knows how many different compounds out this season, is that the wet tyres don't get up to a decent temperature. And that's been what's causing the issues. And that might well have been the case. I can't remember where I read it, but somebody theorised that's what happened. That's what happened with Vettel's crash.
Well, you'd think the answer
Well,
would
he
be
was
smaller
40
tread
laps in.
blocks, wouldn't you?
He was 40 laps in to his test.
I'd also argue when you saw I know it was artificially wet, but that water looked well real. But you know,
Just CG.
It wasn't like they laid cling film out over the track.
like Postman Pat or like the these things.
You could tell it was fake when Dory swam past him.
But you're I don't think you'd race in that.
Modern day racing, you think it's too wet perhaps for modern day racing?
That what they were testing, and I don't think they'd have raced.
Because that's what got red flagged at Brazil.
Yeah.
was extreme wet weather.
And
I know
that's
what you
good
mean.
if they're testing
yeah,
more extreme
yeah.
than you'd race
Well,
in.
yeah, you want to test the
Yeah.
limits, don't you?
I was just merely pointing that out because it might not point out that the Pirelli tyres as bad as it think it is, but they did. They tried to throw it through a fucking sea.
Yeah, there could be that as well. I think Pirelli's official statement actually just said, "Oh, he simply lost control."
It said he lost the bow. That's how wet it was.
It ploughed into a pier and then couldn't sail for max reference.
Yeah.
Take a bow.
I shall look at you in a very stern manner. No, not getting into that. But isn't one of the regulations for the new season now that when the races stop due to wet conditions, it'll be a standing start, not a safety car start?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
it'll
think
be
that's any red flag now, isn't it?
yeah, but it'll also be a standing start for wet races at the start. So no more 2-3 laps under the safety car.
I thought they were going to do some laps under the safety car to clear the track a bit.
Then
do a standing
Then line
start.
up at the grid for a standing
Yeah.
start.
Well, that would make more sense. So they're probably not.
Well, Bernie's out the door now.
Oh yeah, that's a point. So yeah, that would make more sense. So Chase Carey probably will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's the thing. After any safety car period, like that, it'll be a standing start at the beginning of a race. Is that right? Maybe.
Standing, is it after safety car period or is it just after red flags?
No, but like I think it's if the race is started under the safety car.
Under a wet race?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's a standing start.
Yeah.
Well, once it's dry enough.
Yeah.
But then you've got any red flag situation, I think, is standing start after that.
Yeah.
From this season onwards. Which I think is going to make it wonderfully interesting if you've got, if somebody...
Sort of reset in it. It's
well, yeah, I mean, if you think, for example, there's an accident, there's a car and bits of track strewn everywhere. Hopefully, of course, the driver's okay, driver gets out, and then people make decisive pit stops, thinking that they're getting the pit stops under the safety car, and then all of a sudden the race controller brings out the red flag.
Yeah.
Red flag, guys, and you got
fucked it, haven't you?
You got Marcus Ericsson in third.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have to do a standing start with everybody's mixed up because some people pitted and some people didn't. It's gonna be ace. It's gonna be awesome watching the standing start with like a grid that's completely mixed up.
Yeah.
And I think as soon as that happens, it will raise a debate again as to whether or not you should do mixed up grids for qualifying.
Yes, I mean I think that'd be good. But one thing I am thinking about this year is, and especially with stuff like that, which could essentially make an incident here and there.
Yeah.
considering that the Halo like head protection thing has been put back, and it doesn't look like it's going to be a Halo now, does it? For the
It could be a screen. I mean, we don't know. I mean, we spoke about this a little bit.
It should be a screen.
We spoke about this a little bit last week, didn't we? But we're not. There's been no further developments on that.
Can you
since
imagine the fucking shitstorm if, God forbid, something happens to a driver when there's been all this talk about the fact that we need extra head protection, and because people have been dragging their feet left and right. Like, imagine it. Just imagine the lawsuit that's going to come through Formula One dragging their heels. Because if something terrible was to happen, like a Massa incident, what could have happened to Alonso, or was it Raikkonen? Did Alonso go over Raikkonen? Or
yeah, that was
every year. I think we've had a spectacular crash in recent memory.
Yeah, Alonso in Australia.
Yeah,
Alonso and Raikkonen at Austria. Yeah. So
I mean, Grosjean.
Yeah.
Kubica, Massa. Spring. It's just something like full up, like proper life threatening. No matter what they've done to the cars, there's been one, and all you need is that this year to have one with a bit more bad luck than the other guys have had.
I mean, there is. It's the nature of racing. I mean, you will get accidents where when you see what's happened. I mean, I remember watching the Australian Grand Prix with Paul and Sean last year, and then when we saw Gutierrez's car had spun, it was like, Gutierrez has spun. Hang on, what's that upside down in the background?
Yeah.
And oh my God, you do get that sort of sinking feeling like, oh no, that's a bad accident, like something horrific has happened. Then they tell you who it is. It's Fernando Alonso, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then you see him climbing out the car, and he's like, well, he's okay, but what actually happened? And then you see what happened, and you're like, how in God's name did he survive that?
Oh, that was like that was less how safe the cars are and more complete luck.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit of both, I think. It was a bit of both. But yeah, it's I'm looking forward to that. Getting back onto the subject, looking forward to seeing what the regulations throw up for 2017. But I do think Pirelli might have to chop and change their mind a little bit with tyre. Probably not the dry ones, but the wet tyre compounds. When they've actually seen how they work during a race situation, because they haven't had that experience yet, and they're as new to it as everyone else is.
Yeah, I mean, Pirelli aren't really going to know if these work or not until there's 20 cars driving around at the same time on wet tyres. How do they cope with shifting water? Where do they churn the spray out?
Who gets the advantage?
Yeah, what's the heating and cooling effects? They can simulate all the data they want, but until you can calculate for every drop of water that's flying out the back of a car, or real water that's sat on a road, not cling film.
Yeah.
They're definitely not going to be able to find this out.
Or blue plasticine.
Blue plasticine, that is another one.
They use that for the deep parts, for like the standing water.
So if there's, say, an ice race, then the simulated wintry conditions will be washing powder.
Yes.
Yeah. For that particularly, not that it's an ice race, but the Icelandic GP that Chase Carey was talking about.
I bet there's more than a few squeaky bums at Pirelli just wanting to know how the new cars are going to be with the tyres, because it's all the simulation in mind. But can you imagine what it would do to their predictions? Because what are we saying? Are we saying 5 seconds?
Something like that.
It's about that. Yeah.
In the region of 3 to 5 seconds a lap, depending on who you listen to.
So let's say Red Bull fucking 1998 McLaren it. Was it 98?
And just like win almost everything.
Yeah, and then everyone else is 5 seconds, and they're like 7.
Yeah.
I wonder what that would do to Pirelli's calculations.
Well, yeah, the thing is as well, it's unfair on Pirelli because they know very little, but they're expected to have the buck stop with them if something goes wrong. And
it's a thankless job.
Oh, completely, which we've spoken about many times before on the podcast. Who would be an F1 tyre supplier?
It was funny. Your man that's like the face of Pirelli. When he first came into the sport, he was a little fat man. Looked a little bit like Ricky Gervais, doesn't he? He looks fucking ruined now.
It looks like Skeletor
Yeah.
these days.
You mean he looks like Ricky Gervais now?
No, he's not constantly fighting animal causes, but no, I don't understand what's in it for a tyre manufacturer. There must be such an uptick for some, in
I saw for sale
yeah.
a limited edition Pirelli P0 with the yellow stripe around it for your road car. Pirelli P0, and I was like, I want some of those for my car. And I only drive like a shitty little Ford.
I've only got a van and I want them.
Yeah, exactly. I want those. I want those yellow rimmed Pirelli P0 tires on my road car. Who
No,
doesn't? Come on.
No, we
Well,
live
if it's raining, you need to change them for the blue wall.
Yeah,
I was going to say,
blue,
we live on the Isle of Man. You have to get the blue ones.
Yeah, or if it's raining a little bit, the green ones. If I'm going for a really long drive, I'll put the white striped ones on.
I want some so badly.
If I've got to get somewhere really quick and I'm not going very far, I'll put the purple ones on.
Are we going to do that then?
Yeah.
We all
They
reshoot
are
our cars.
Super expensive, by the way.
Let's just have a look. I'm going to one-handed Google the price.
Yeah, Pirelli P0 road tyre.
He's using two hands.
He is using two hands. This isn't one-handed Googling.
No, it's
I don't want it to be a performance tyre. I just want it to look like that.
Yeah, you just want it to look like you've got a Formula One tyre on
Yeah.
your car. Who wouldn't want that?
I'd be terrified of taking it out.
Yeah. I don't want to use my tyres.
I'd get a puncher.
No!
It's
It's okay. It'll be changed in 4 seconds.
Oh God, lads, I'm a decorator. We'll get some yellow paint.
That's it. You can use Tipex.
They're £520 each.
So you're two over 2,000 to
Yeah.
maybe not. My car's worth more than that.
I was just
Less than that.
I was just going to say my van cost about the same as the tyres would.
Yeah, that might not be the best idea. I tell you what, bottle of Tipex. Hang on, Lee, you're good with a paintbrush.
You're late. You were googling.
We were
I
just
said-
saying.
said
Did I
all
miss
this.
that?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll brand them Borellis.
Yeah.
No.
Oh no, Pirelli.
Yes.
Pirelli.
The
Lee
official,
Zeros.
Lee Zeros.
the official Formula Lee tyre.
Pirelli Lee Zeros.
See, there's still a little bit in the back of my mind thinks if we just joke about it enough, eventually, the more listeners we get and the more known we get, like when I'm 50, it will be a thing. Even if it's only even if it's only like a semi-professional go-kart race.
Charlie, you know how you're listening to our podcast and we've just been talking about the Pirelli Lee Zeros?
Oh God! Moving from one sane subject to another. Oh no, sorry, it says Jeremy Clarkson.
Insane subject.
He's been sensible.
Caricature Clarkson is not sensible, but
No,
when,
but-
when he's actual real life Jeremy Clarkson, he is quite sensible most of the time. He has that. He's one of these people who has these TV caricatures for for ratings, basically. And when you saw him on Top Gear, and
Well,
on,
he is the most popular motoring journalist
in the world. When you saw him on Top Gear and what's that? The Grand Tour?
Yeah, not
you know,
Top Gear.
Yeah, no, GT, not
GT,
TG.
yeah.
That was Caricature Clarkson. You know, he does that for ratings because he knows that it's reactionary. It gets people either love it or hate it, and it gets people talking. Therefore, it's publicity for the show. But normal, real life Jeremy Clarkson, how he probably is with his friends and family away from TV cameras, has something quite interesting to say as a fan of Formula One.
Mm-hmm. I mean, real life Jeremy Clarkson once offered me a cigarette in the departure lounge at London City Airport because I looked that hungover. He thought I was about to die.
My dad had sex with his wife.
Before she was married to him.
Yes.
Yeah, because his wife is from the Isle of Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ex-wife.
Ex-wife now, yes. Yeah. From Castletown, I believe. But the thing that also I bumped into Jeremy Clarkson in Strand Street once, and I didn't really recognise him at first. It was a horrible, wet, rainy day, and I saw him, and I just said hello to him because I thought he was one of my dad's mates. Then I realised, oh no, that was Clarkson. I shouldn't have said hello to him.
No, you should have done. I'm sure lots of people say hello to him.
It's just one of those things. I was walking out of the shop and he was walking in, and I was just like, all right.
I wave at what's his name all the time.
What's his name?
The ex-MotoGP commentator.
Steve Parrish.
Yeah. and I kind of wave to the point. He waves back now because he goes running. He must live around Donkin because you see him jogging.
I know where he lives.
Quite a lot, yeah. And so in my mind now because he waves back, I decide to know him.
The next step is you claiming he's stalking you.
Yeah.
Well, he is always running around Donkin when I'm going to work in the morning.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to what Jeremy Clarkson said.
Yes, Clarkson, of course, long-time fan of Formula One, has been vocal in the past of how he's one of these people with rose-tinted glasses. All the glory days of Formula One have been and gone, and it's all rubbish now and things. But he had something quite interesting to say about the new owners of Formula One, which is basically that American takeover has to be a good thing for the sport. It's probably about time for Bernie to go, and if Americans can put 250,000 bums on seats in stadiums to watch NASCAR,
And that's rubbish.
then they're the right people to take over, Formula One and turn that back into a show, rather than I think his words were, rather than a tool to make already rich men a little bit richer.
Rich old men.
Do you think it's just the marketing for NASCAR? Like, if you're over there, like the marketing for NASCAR is really good. Like, everybody ready for NASCAR, and then everyone goes to the oval. NASCAR starts, and everyone goes, "Fuck, we've done it again."
I said, well, never mind. Here comes the people selling
Beer!
food. Yeah. Which, to be honest with you, if they do that with F1, all right.
To be fair, I would fucking love to go and watch a NASCAR race just for
the beer and hot dogs.
Well,
and the noise.
Yeah, no, it's when you see the people standing by the catch fences.
Yeah.
And when the cars go, and like people getting blown over by the speed as they're going round, it just looks incredible.
Yeah.
Of course, it'd be incredible for like 3 seconds.
Fourth lap, you'd be like, when do they turn the other way?
Figure 8. That'll improve NASCAR.
Yeah, it would actually. To Suzuka.
I think you could have.
Yeah, but lower the bridge and actually have a crossover.
Our listeners won't know, but like apart from my obvious hate for oval racing, but I have a massive hate for English soccer ball, and I think you could fix any sport with how I think you could fix English soccer ball.
Which is
Extra time multi-ball.
Apart from extra time multi-ball, you would grid the pitch.
Yep, it is a
Yeah,
pitch.
it's called a pitch.
Yes.
Out, and underneath each one would be a landmine.
So essentially, you're playing landmines.
Well, no, because you obviously you wouldn't do.
Minesweeper.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do all of them. That would be ridiculous. Just one, but the trigger for the landmine goes off when a certain amount of footsteps have gone over it. It could be 100, could be 1.
What if it's the referee?
What?
What if it's the referee?
Then they can fight because there's no referee, so it doesn't matter. Then it's last man standing.
Fair enough.
Okay.
And what's this got to do with NASCAR?
I just think you could improve it by putting landmines in there.
I think the banned landmines in 1974.
Oh right.
Yeah, God, we are low on news this week. That's the end of the news bits on the running order.
I can
Really?
chat bullshit again. If you need.
We've spoken about Ferrari, we've spoken about Sauber, and we've spoken about Clarkson.
Yeah. Oh, Ron Dennis. Ron Dennis. Yes. Because you've written that below other things.
I have written it below other things. Yes.
Yes. Now the McLaren Apple tie-up could be back on, but it's not with McLaren anymore. It is actually with Ron.
Well, yeah, it's not obviously like you say. It's not a McLaren Apple tie-up, but it could.
It was rumoured at one point.
Do you remember how Apple were talking about being Apple cars? Well, could Ron's insistence that P4 Project 4 stays with him be something to do with the fact that he's still continuing his tie-up with Apple without McLaren. It's a possibility that is being bandied about by a couple of very, very, very small Twitter accounts, if I'm honest with you. But it makes sense.
One of them was nearly the same title as an Oasis song.
Yes, but it makes sense. If you think about it,
It doesn't make sense to me because
Apple want to go into making cars. They've been quite vocal about that. They haven't put a time frame on it. They wanted to do a tie-in with McLaren. That didn't work. Ron got forced out of McLaren. Ron's now found himself without a job, and I need to do something quite groundbreaking and clinical, ridiculously clinical, and very clean to the point of no soul. Therefore, I will be
Apple's
the
perfect.
Yeah, Apple cars for Ron Dennis.
I see. Well,
If it happens, they need to get Ozzy Osbourne at the launch because then they'll be able to go, I am Iron Man. I was saving that one, that's why I didn't say that earlier.
God, somebody fuck me in the ear with a hot poker.
Iron Man. Ron Dennis.
The only place I can see Apple going, given what they're trying to do, is Formula E.
Formula E.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would
If
that,
it became
that
a
would make
racing
more, that
car.
would make more sense for them. Probably if it's going to be the first one to blink between them and Google.
Yeah. They wouldn't do well, though.
No, I was
'cause
thinking
you'd
more
have to
road
control it
cars
with an
than race
iPad.
cars. I was thinking more road cars than race cars for Apple.
But
Autonomous,
use a racing series as a proving ground and then
possibly.
use your technology. Because, I mean, Google have already tried the self-driving cars.
Yeah, but and Apple have said that they want to rival what Google are doing with cars.
Yeah.
Because phones apparently is not enough.
If I fuck that, legitimise Formula E, wouldn't it?
How do you go from phones to cars?
No, I've
We
no
are
idea.
rivals in phones. Cars. Yes, I want to do cars too.
How do you... Well,
a pizza.
Look at Google.
Yes.
How do you go from a search engine to running the world?
Well, welcome to the age we live in. Sorry, Yahoo, you were just a bit wrong.
But could you imagine how much that would legitimise Formula E if, like, in another 2-3 years, if you had Tesla, Apple and Google enter teams in Formula E?
It would be fairly mighty, wouldn't it?
I think having Audi, Renault, Jaguar, people like that there gives it a little bit of legitimacy.
No, I know what you mean, but it's not sexy, is it? You know,
No.
for people. But whereas if you had these fucking big heavy hitter tech companies in, and then obviously if Google and Apple went into it, Microsoft would have to be in there in some sort of form or capacity.
No, they'd start their own separate formula.
Oh right.
Yeah.
It'd be very similar but not quite compatible.
Yeah. But they'd claim they thought of it first. But the licensing cost would be huge.
Yeah. And nobody would understand it.
Don't get me started. No. Actually, no, don't get me started.
And the cars would restart halfway round for an update.
And they'd only be good every other season.
And this is when Vettel's actually got old and left Formula One and gone into that, so he'll be driving around going, blue screen, blue screen.
Oh, you fucking come up with some awful stuff tonight, but that was good.
Has that made up for it?
Yes.
Has that made up for some of it?
No, I think it's made up for all of it.
Oh, fair enough. Right.
Yeah.
There is a Formula E race this weekend.
Is that no?
Oh.
I didn't actually know.
Yeah.
Have you not seen all that advertising and social media pushing they've been doing?
I saw a tweet for it earlier, and do you know what? I actually forgot to look up where it was. Dan, you're our resident Formula E fan.
I'm shrugging my shoulders here.
It's but I love the fact it's like it's more of a treasure hunt because not only have you got to find out when it's on, then when it's on you've got to find out what channel qualifying's on, then you've got to find out what channel the race is on.
The Crime and Investigation Network are doing FP1.
What are you doing, Justin, for Prince? Just trying to work out where Formula E is.
MTV Base has got qualifying. And,
Hosted by Lewis Hamilton.
yeah, and the race is only available on Panasonic smartphones.
If you download the app.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see see what it is this weekend.
By the way, the Panasonic phone app has the same streaming quality as watching a video in 1994 on dial-up.
That was the other good thing as well. As if Formula E wasn't fucking difficult enough to get, if you try and series link it, it doesn't run as a series. So even if you series link it on your Skybox, it just records that weekend, and then you're in the wilderness again.
What's the next series of Formula E?
It's Buenos Aires this weekend.
Street race, of course.
Yeah, they all are, aren't they? 'Cause
Yeah,
they're
not
not allowed to use circuits because that might be exciting and interesting.
I'll try and watch it.
Because Buenos Aires would actually be on my extra circuits list that we were talking about last week. We were talking about the 25 circuits per.
Out of the wardrobe from Narnia into Buenos Aires.
Yeah, Buenos Aires is one of those tracks. Buenos Aires, basically.
Sorry, you know how I was joking about qualifying and the race being all over the place?
Well, they are on different
they
channels.
Yeah. In the UK, qualifying is on Spike.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a fucking TV station over here.
I thought he was in Buffy.
The one that looks like Sting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like Sting and talks like Dick Van Dyke. God, blimey, it's only a bloody vampire.
So it's Sting.
Yeah. Qualifying is on Spike and the race is on Channel 5, which is 2 TV channels I forget exist.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then BT Sport have got highlights.
Why didn't BT Sport
It's
just
a
buy
mess.
That's a cosy 2 minutes.
But do you know what the best thing is? Even after you go around all the fuckery that is involved with
Formula E.
Formula E, then someone at the end goes, "Guess what? You know, a championship. It's held over 2 years."
It takes like 18 months to finish a championship, and then there's a bit of a gap, and then we start again.
Yeah. Drivers have retired in between races.
And for our American listeners, Fox Sports are showing it later.
But is it at least on the same channel?
No.
Oh.
Go on.
Dan's stroking his head going, how am I supposed to defend this shit?
You notice I've given up. I really hope it's an exciting race.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's it. It's and
All right, Pastor Maldonado.
Gonna push really hard.
Yeah, they're showing practice at 6 o'clock in the morning and then the race at 10 o'clock that night.
No qualifying.
They're showing qualifying at 9.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
All on the same channel though.
No.
Oh.
No, some of it's on Fox Sports Go and some of it's on Fox Sports.
All right, okay. Well, dear US listeners, we are very
This is the
sorry.
same network.
Yeah.
Hang on, 6 in the morning. Aren't they relatively in the same time frame as Argentina?
Oh, they're not showing it live.
Ah.
No, this is all on Saturday at different times of the day.
Okay.
Formula E. E for annoying.
Formula E annoying.
So, yeah, if you...
Formula evasive.
Elusive. Yeah. So, yeah, if you want to watch...
find us?
If
I
you want
bet
to watch
can't.
Formula E this weekend, yeah, good luck finding it. I'm sure we'll... Yeah, okay.
I know, but you know what they can say? They can say we have a dedicated fan base. Because you fucking got to be.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it attracts 2 different types of fans. Fans of motorsport.
No, 2 different...
And fans of
two
TV
different
listings
fans.
magazines.
It attracts 2 different fans. Columbo.
People who like solving puzzles.
Colombo. Just one more thing.
Oh, God. Lee,
Aye.
do you want to be a total shunt?
I would love to be.
Lee's gonna give us some clues.
Give me a jingle. Makes me sound like a cartoon dinosaur. Give me an exciting theme tune.
Shut.
Right, ready.
We'll bring the acoustic guitars next week and we'll do him a live jingle.
Yes.
Have you got a keyboard? I want keyboards. I want like 80 synth.
I did used to have a keyboard. I don't know where it is
Yeah,
now.
I'm not sure we've got like any spare sockets to plug it into the mixer.
I could
So
get-
all you'll hear is
That'll do. That's fine. I
You know, like when
want.
Paul does his left-handed googling and it comes out over the microphone.
Yeah.
That's what you'd hear.
I want Tron
Yeah.
meets Baywatch.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I would
I'll
watch
work-
that movie.
I will.
And
I
I'm
will,
sure it's on the Sci-Fi Channel at some point.
If not, it's a Netflix original.
I will work on an acoustic version of Tron meets Baywatch.
Starring Steven Seagal as an ex-Navy SEAL.
Are you ready?
Yes.
We have 10 questions.
Right.
I was born in 1960, but throughout my career, I lied about my age to make myself appear younger.
Right.
Oh.
Nico Rosberg.
No, we only get 3 guesses. That's not a formal.
I'm going to take that.
No.
Yes.
No.
I am the quizmaster. You now have 2 guesses.
Max
No.
Verstappen and it's really Yossi's brother.
You can say no all you want.
I'm saying no.
No, you are wrong. I'll take no as a guess in a second.
You will not.
I will take and the game's over.
Right, so who would have been
So-
more concerned about motor racing than getting served in an off license,
Born in 1960.
but claimed to be born later?
Yeah, so born in
So got-
1960, makes 57 now, or will be 57 during the course of 2017, if still alive.
Yeah.
So would have started racing in the late 70s.
Possibly 80s, maybe.
If they were claiming not to be the late teens in the late 80s.
Yeah. Often lied about my. But you know what? Could even be the 90s. Because you'd only been 30 in 1990. Could have been like, oh yeah, I'm 25. Go on. Next clue.
I began racing in German Formula Ford in 1983.
German Formula Ford in 1983, to the age of 23. German Formula Ford.
So possibly a German.
Possibly a German.
Or possibly.
God, I'm like Sherlock Holmes here.
Don't mention any names, we'll take it as a guess.
I am Sherlock.
So
So it could be John Watson. Oh.
could it be?
No.
He was earlier
He
than
was
that.
racing earlier than
He was
that.
he was Formula One late 70s, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not. So we're thinking of somebody possibly German racing German Formula Ford,
Well, possibly Austrian.
possibly Austrian. Possibly Austrian. Hang on, 57 it would be now. Okay.
Would you like another clue?
Yes, please.
In 1985, I entered the Formula Ford Festival at Brands Hatch, finishing second.
But he's not going to tell us who behind. Damn. Because that at least would rule one person out.
Yeah, the European Formula Ford they used to get together every now and again and have like a Euro race, which counted towards local Formula Ford points and European Formula Ford, which wasn't actually a thing. It was just they would have events every now and again at the bigger circuits. And Brands Hatch, I'm guessing in the mid 80s, quite a big circuit.
I kind of hosted the British Grand Prix
At that
roundabout
point,
then.
yeah. So
Also important to remember, this might not be a Formula One driver.
it could be somebody associated with Formula One or motorsport. I'm heading in the direction of, at the moment. I'm heading in the direction of Red Bull team bosses at the moment.
Oh, so French toast.
No, I was thinking more Helmut Marko, Dietrich Mateschitz, along those lines.
No, because it wouldn't be Dietrich Mateschitz because he was a toothpaste salesman before he discovered Red Bull.
Helmut Marko, perhaps.
Would you like
Perhaps.
another clue?
Yes, please.
I am Austrian.
I said it could be Austrian. So we are possibly looking at Helmut Marko or French toast?
French toast isn't Austrian, is he?
I think he might be.
Hang, we're allowed to research whilst we're doing these, aren't we? To see if French
No,
toast
that's like Googling during the pub quiz.
Yeah.
I think it's disallowed.
Okay,
I swear, if I see Paul's hands move towards the laptop, I'm going to break his fingers.
fair enough.
Can you not do that? I've got a job interview tomorrow.
So
Don't touch the laptops.
Well, that's a good idea. I've got to do the pub quiz on Wednesday night. I'm the only one allowed to Google.
French toast, Helmut Marko. Is Helmut Marko Austrian? It's an Austrian-sounding name.
I think he is, because surely the very Austrian Dietrich Mateschitz would have brought him in.
Oh, also, isn't Dietrich Mateschitz in his 60s anyway?
Yeah, and was a toothpaste salesman.
Would you like another clue?
Yes, please.
In 1985, I won both the Austrian and Central European Formula Ford Championships.
So we're looking for someone who's big in Formula Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah, out of the two of them, I think I'm veering more towards Helmut Marko. Because I think Franz Tost is more of a engineer rather than a racer. And I'm fairly sure Helmut Marko used to race.
Bear in mind, this could be somebody completely
Different.
We could have this completely wrong.
Yeah, we could be going in the entirely wrong direction. But out of the two main guesses so far, Helmut Marko, that's definitely the one I'd get.
Oh. Next clue, please, Lee. What is clue number 5? Is this now?
Yes. I raced in Le Mans in the Le Mans 24-hour 5 times. My highest finish was 5th.
It's not Nico Hulkenberg then.
No, because he's not Austrian.
But he's good at 5th.
Austrian racing drivers that we can think of. It's not Niki Lauda, because he was already Formula 1 world champion in the 70s.
Well, if he lied about his age,
He was 1984 world champion. He's not going to be in Formula Ford in previous and after
Oh
years,
no,
is
you
he?
must have got me mixed up with my much older brother,
Who also
called
has the
Nicky
burn-
Lauda and has burns.
Burns. Maybe he entered as burnt face man.
I'm his brother Gary.
Gary. Gerhard Berger.
Gerhard Berger.
Who I don't think he's. Well, he might be that old, but we have already had Gerhard Berger, but not to say that we couldn't have him twice on Who's a Total Shunt.
Yeah, but there'd need to be more swearing involved.
Well, we don't know yet, do we?
Well,
Born in 19...
given all of the facts that we've heard so far, apart from the Le Mans fact, are around Formula Ford, it's almost as if all the good facts were given in a previous quiz.
Possibly. I think we might have to go for another.
Another
clue.
yeah, we need another clue. We haven't made an official guess yet.
I eventually achieved my dream of becoming a Formula 1 driver.
Not Helmut Marko.
Not Helmut Marko then.
So we're thinking Austrian Formula 1 drivers.
Who probably aren't Niki Lauda.
Austrian Formula 1. Alexander Wurz.
I was going to say,
He's not that old though, is he? He's
What?
not 57.
well, yeah, but if he's lied about his age to appear younger,
He's
When-
not
When
57.
did he make it into Formula 1? About 95, was it?
A bit later than
bit
that.
later,
about
97.
about 97, I think it
Yeah,
was.
but he was young then. He was like 22, 23 then.
Or was he?
Yes, he was. He wasn't 40.
Yeah, but if he's lied about, that's the thing, lied about his age to seem younger.
Yes, it wouldn't. No, I'm sorry, not that much younger.
I think we'll need another clue.
In my first race, I did not qualify.
This is a difficult one.
This is.
I've tried to turn up the difficulty.
Yeah. Should we throw Gerhard Berger in as a guess?
We might as well.
Because it's in the days of pre-qualifying in that case.
Yeah.
And I can't think of many Austrian drivers around that time if it's not Gerhard Berger, we're going to have to really get thinking cap on as to Austrian drivers from around the same era.
Yeah. Is it Gerhard Berger?
I'm not Gerhard Berger.
Okay, that's a guess gone.
Right, you've got 2 questions, two clues left.
What
Would you like?
nationality was Roland Ratzenberger?
Oh.
He was Austrian.
He was Austrian. Should we go for that?
We got 2 clues left.
Should we get another?
Get another clue.
I have no wins or podiums.
Now, Ratzenberger did struggle to qualify for the first race of.
He was the same age
94.
as Ayrton Senna. Ayrton Senna was born in 1960.
I reckon. Yeah, good call, Dan. I reckon it is. Go for that.
Am I Roland Ratzenberger?
I am. And your final clue number 10
Well done,
was,
Dan.
in 1994, continuing my career was difficult due to an unfortunate dying incident.
That was a tough one. This
That
one
was a tough one, yeah.
Yeah.
Well done, Lee. Very good.
I'm surprised you've got that. I
Yeah.
thought I stuck the last clue in because I knew if we got to clue number 10 and I said that, I knew you'd get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I never knew about him lying about his age.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
But when you said Roland Ratzenberger and the cogs started turning, I was like, yeah, hang on, he was the same age as Ayrton Senna, even though he had very little racing experience in comparison.
Yeah.
So, fair enough.
That's 2 for Dan as well, isn't it? You got last week as
Two
well.
for me, 2 for Dan.
Yeah, I'm struggling here. I'm going to have to up my game a little bit, or Google silently.
Next week, Paul turns up with Google Glass.
I was the one that bought them.
Why do you keep calling me Siri?
Because I'm apologising with a South African accent.
I don't.
All right, Jodie Scheckter, let's move it on.
We'll move it on.
In a Japanese accent, don't be silly. Sorry.
We'll
definitely.
we'll definitely move on. Mailbag. We have had emails and tweets and Facebook messages and comments.
Excellent.
We have had quite a lot, which thanks to everyone for, because it's bugger all in the news.
We're going to start with first Facebook, Twitter,
I've
emails.
I've got the email open. Mike McPherson, he's on a world tour. It was India last week, and then moved on to Amsterdam.
Hello, Mike. Enjoying your world travels, I hope. Hopefully we're keeping you company whilst you're...
Drinking scotch.
Yeah, from place to place.
Yep. So let us know where you end up next week. We also have an email from Salvador Pena.
Hello, Salvador.
Nice name. You sound like an artist.
It does a bit, actually, yeah. Are you all fans of the podcast? Are you all fans of the Fast and the Furious movies? If so, who wins a race, Brian O'Connor or Lewis Hamilton?
No, none. Fuck that shit.
I've never seen a Fast and
No,
Furious
I
film.
stopped watching it because in the first one he was coming down a motorway and he handbrake turned and started overtaking people in reverse going down a motorway. I thought, thank you very much, bye.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, all of the gear changes forever. Much in the same vein as the little bike
Yeah.
in Terminator.
Mhm.
You know, when he's trying to get away from the truck.
Yeah.
It's got endless gears. It's constantly changing gears.
Yes.
if you watch next time you watch Terminator 2 and he's riding that little tiny 125 bike, if it's even that big, down that storm lane.
But what you don't realise is every time he goes round
how
the
many
corner-
gears have you got?
No, every time the camera cuts off and goes to the other person.
Just first.
No, yeah, he has to go around like a U-bend sort of thing.
Like a hairpin.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Do you know what else I hate about Fast and Furious?
What's that?
Right, you know that guy that died, ironically, by
Paul Walker.
crashing his car? I hate the fact that people... that it's a big thing, isn't it, with these fucktards that watch Fast and the Furious, where you'll have the... Like that, what his quote... There's a quote apparently he's famous for saying in one of the films. And it's like, blah, 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 Paul Walker. Like, no, it's not. he didn't. It's not his phrase. It's the fucking scriptwriter's phrase.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from. The thing with Paul Walker is as well, he did a lot for conservation charities.
Oh no, I'm sure he's grand. I'm
yeah.
sure he's grand.
And I think that's where a lot of the love comes for him as well.
No, I think there's an awful lot of it that is a fucking
A certain age of petrol head.
Max power reading.
Yeah.
People looking at orange cars with socks fucking on the cocks. Like just knocking it out.
Don't hold back, Lee. Don't hold back.
Fucking look at the fluorescent fucking.
So
things
when
under
McLaren release the pictures of the orange car next week, are we all to club together to buy you a copy of Max Power and some socks?
McLaren are dead to me.
When they announced that Jensen's going to be testing it.
Oh, fucking get like I'd say I probably need more of like a pantyhose sort of thing. But yeah, whatever.
But thanks for your question, Salvador. I hope that's not too
Yeah.
too in depth.
Start watching proper films. Your name sounds far too intelligent to watch that dross.
Yeah, like Sharknado or Megapython versus Gator. I'll shut up now, shall I?
Get out.
Got another email from Dave Daddario.
Dave Daddario.
Yes.
That's a wonderful name.
Lots of D's and the name of a quality brand of guitar strings as well.
Dave. Daddario. Dave.
Gentlemen, love the show. I've been listening to your mashup of F1 news, Simpsons quotes, and wrestling non sequiturs since the middle of the 2016 season.
Oh, excellent.
He
Thanks,
gets
Dave.
wrestling jokes. He's ace. What do you want? What do you want?
And Simpsons quotes.
He's just wanting to say hi.
But he
and-
doesn't watch Fast and Furious.
He might do.
He
But
actually,
doesn't.
he actually drives an open wheel car. He races in F2000 in the States.
Nice.
Ace.
Awesome.
And he has sent some pictures, which, Dave, if you don't mind, we will put up on the site.
Dave, does he get to explain if it's his car or team
Or if
anything?
he's just sent us some pictures.
Yeah.
No.
Are we being catfished?
No, I'm thinking, hang on a second. I'm thinking we could get a 3 legs 4 wheels logo on Dave's car.
I'm liking the sound of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? We tried with Manor. Manor was perhaps a bridge too far, even for Manor. But
Yeah, they didn't want to pay us enough.
no.
Or in your on his helmet, not the clear bit, like the painted bit.
Yeah, because you won't be able to see if he's
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
at
not
our
the clear
logo all
bit.
the time. Dave, we'd like to put our logo on your car. Get in touch again.
That would be excellent.
Or we'll get in touch with you, seeing as you emailed so nicely.
But yeah, he drives in the F2000 Championship. It's a 2-litre 4-cylinder 4-door Mazda engine, and we run at some of the best tracks in the US. Ones with
Awesome.
right turns.
It's amazing.
Excellent. Dan, did you see that video I tagged you in, by the way? You talked about Laguna Seca last week.
I've not watched it yet. but
Classic Formula One cars being driven on Laguna Seca.
Good call.
Yes.
Just for the
Shows
sake
that
of it.
Shows that
Yes.
it could happen,
It could happen. Of course it could.
and it will.
Maybe. One day, who knows?
Yes.
More races happening in the US, possibly.
Let's just have a
If
look.
we dream hard enough.
Absolutely.
You're back to Max Power and socks again, aren't you? With an orange Jensen button-driven McLaren.
If your dreams don't scale, they're not big enough.
Just looking at the 2017 F2000 schedule. Yeah, they're doing the Indianapolis Grand Prix course.
Oh, excellent.
Proper, actual proper real circuit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old Brickyard.
Yeah. Pittsburgh, Summit Point, New Jersey's in there, and Mid-Ohio and Virginia International Raceway. These are actually real circuits that I've heard of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. Well, thanks very much
He's
for
not
listening.
like really into sim racing, is he? And he's doing it all on Project Cars.
No, he's actually sent us pictures of him driving a real car in real life.
I can't see these photos, listeners, so please bear with me on this question. Paul, is his car covered in sponsors, or is it?
Let's just have a look. I will open one of these up, and no.
Tell him he can have. No, I can
Well,
tell
you
him.
can tell him. He's going to
Yeah,
be listening
he's
to this.
listening to us.
He's been listening to us for about the last 8 months.
That can be his Patreon donation. He can be a Patreon, and his Patreon donation is a logo on his body. I want to stamp your helmet.
Get it on the car. It's a white car. It'll stand out more.
Yeah, no, it might not be his choice, would it? His helmet will be his choice.
No, that is true. That is true. But yeah, Dave, we'd love to get a logo on you or the car.
Let us brand you.
Do you know
Not
any
in,
good
not in
tattooists?
that way, Lee.
Put this away then.
let's move on swiftly.
Poor Dan's giving up.
I've gone home.
Yeah, just want to thank Tom Jones or at
What?
Jones2190 as he is on Twitter.
Not the Tom Jones.
Not that Tom Jones, not that one. Sent us an article from an online magazine that he writes for that was very inspired by the podcast. So we put a link to that on the Facebook page. It's a conversation between him and a friend of his about what the off-season's got to offer, and he titled it Just for Lee. Jensen, we miss you, or similar.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, was it
I
the
was going to
off-season?
accuse him of plagiarism, but there you go. That's good.
Well, yeah, but
You were going to accuse somebody of something. That's not unusual.
Oh, good.
conversational journalism is the way forward.
Yeah. Oh, so, wherefore art thou, Jensen? So yeah, thanks a lot for that, Tom. I had a read of that earlier. We've linked it on the Facebook page and on Twitter. I encourage everyone to have a look, 'cause it's actually quite a good article.
Cool.
I didn't know it was there. I'll go and read it.
Yeah, it's kind of a written version of one of our podcasts, just without the swearing and the wrestling and the Simpsons.
It's nothing like one of our podcasts then.
If you take away the swearing and the wrestling and the Simpsons,
What? So it's the dead air.
Yeah, what's left?
yeah, that's a fair point actually.
People getting things wrong about Formula One.
Hellfire, we're good at doing that. Moving on to Facebook. Ben Redding. Not
Hello.
Ben in Reading, Ben Reading.
Hello, Ben.
Just listening back to last week's podcast regarding...
Ben reading what?
Not the script, obviously. Hang on, what's one of them? Hey guys, just listening back to last week's podcast regarding Braun's potential handicap system. Could this work in the way of fuel allowance? Mercedes dominate to the mid-season. They lose 5 kilograms of fuel to use per race, making them turn the engine down. Sauber in reverse gain 5 kilos of fuel to burn. They can increase their HP and kilowatts and hopefully score points. Do we think that would work?
It's false, isn't it? You're essentially handicapping somebody for being good. That's not the idea of sport.
That's what
Well,
Ross Brawn was.
Except horse racing.
Yeah, that's what Ross Brawn was sort of touting, potential handicap system for teams who are too dominant.
Yeah.
So if let's say we get to the summer break, 11 races in, and Mercedes have won 10 of them.
Stop poking Lewis Hamilton in the eyes before races and stuff.
Well, no, this is perhaps one of the things being put forward by Ben is it could work, because you're giving one team less fuel to work with, but then they're going to be faster with 5 kilograms less fuel in them, and they might be they might be able to, if they know it's coming, they might find ways of managing that a bit better.
Yeah.
And it could end up giving Sauber extra fuel to burn. Could actually impede them a bit. Because
Yeah, but they don't have to take a full fuel load.
I think there's very few.
There's a
circuits.
limit, isn't there?
But essentially,
Yeah,
every Formula One car starts a race without the fuel to finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because it's maximum 100 kilos, but teams have been going lower just to get the extra tenths at the start of the race when the gaps are being established.
I'd imagine as well. I mean, I don't know this for a fact, but you'd imagine that the less fuel you have to start with is the less weight you have, so the less fuel you're actually burning as well. Anyway,
Well, that's the thing.
This basically it's fucking maths. That if we could sit here and do it, we wouldn't be sitting here and doing it.
Isn't 1 kilo of fuel worth 1/100th of a second per lap?
Sometimes more, but Lee, you're right. It's the kind of maths where they've got Greek letters involved instead of numbers. And,
Yeah.
That's for Dan to work out. Dan's just looking at me and smiling nervously.
I'm trying to work it out in my head.
Fucking world looks like the fucking Matrix to Dan at the minute.
Loads of zeros and ones going past his face.
We'll move on. A few comments on
So yeah, we've no fucking idea.
We've no idea. It might work, but I just don't agree with handicaps.
That's fucking. You can't
No,
say that.
I don't agree with handicapping in racing. Oh God, Paul.
Jesus. You give a man a platform.
I am not coming off well on tonight's show, am I?
Oh, dear Paul.
I don't see how you can do a rule that's going to prevent a team dominating, but not not still let there be exciting fights, but one team come out of them on top every week? So imagine if last season Red Bull had been 10th of a second behind Mercedes at the end of every race. Those would be exciting races.
Yeah.
And Mercedes wouldn't be dominating, they'd just be
winning
every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you write a rule that differentiates between a team finishing first place by 30 seconds every race?
If you get 3 consecutive 1-2 finishes, you've got to replace a randomly selected driver in your team with Max Chilton.
I thought you
We
didn't agree.
randomly select our reserve driver.
I thought you didn't agree with handicaps. Take that however you want.
Thunderbirds are.
Sorry, I'm dragging the podcast down. So let's move on.
Yeah. Why don't
Let's
you?
pretend that wasn't said.
Yeah. Oh God. I'm gonna have to do some serious editing. No, it's going out. As
Moving
is,
on.
But, yeah. Facebook comments. We asked for people to give us something to talk about tonight, and quite a lot of you responded. Start with one from long-time regular listener Michael Cohen.
Hello, Michael. Hello.
He wants to know what we think. What team would be the best fit for Vettel if he does go from Ferrari at the end of the season? And what factors would trigger Ferrari into considering letting him go?
I think Ferrari will consider letting him go because it saves face, because he's basically got one foot out the door.
If Vettel leaves Ferrari, Kimi Raikkonen can be signed up for the next 3 years at the team, purely because they would be in such disarray if they let both drivers go. But if Vettel does go, he won't want to move anywhere where he doesn't think he's got a chance of winning titles, races, championships, or can do the dream that he wanted to do at Ferrari elsewhere. So McLaren or
Mercedes, and Bottas is out after one season, which
is the obvious choice.
There's a lot of rumours floating around about Bottas has got a one season with another option, but the option is only take upable by the team, and it's just in case Seb's available.
It might save Bottas next year, actually, because who else said it the other day? I think it might even be Nico Rosberg saying that it wasn't. It was Morris Hamilton.
Morris Hamilton.
It was either Morris Hamilton or Lewis's father. It was one of the two.
Anthony Hamilton.
Yeah, it might be an Anthony Hamilton, actually. And he said that Bottas's move, as I've been saying all along, Bottas's move to Mercedes might just end his career. It was Lewis's father.
Not like the ultimate Perezing.
Well, yeah, he turned around. He said, if you're gonna go to a team, he said, we've seen it with every teammate Lewis has had. If to compete with him, you need to be totally on point, and I don't think Bottas is as good as Rosberg or Jensen.
He's inconsistent for long periods of time.
Yeah.
And I think if Mercedes are going to look for a driver who is going to be consistent for long periods of time, Sebastian Vettel.
The crazy thing
when
is,
things go right for him,
is
a long. I put him just behind, and only fractionally behind, Alonso and Hamilton, are probably the most naturally talented drivers on the grid. Those three always get mentioned. But
I think the jury's out on Seb at the minute.
I would put Alonso and Lewis ahead of Sebastian. Not by much.
It's a long time since we've seen Vettel out driving a car.
Yeah, and I think Alonso would have won a race in that Ferrari last year. He certainly would have won in Australia because he wouldn't have allowed what happened.
Yeah, he would have told them, don't bring me in.
Yeah.
I think one thing that could trigger Vettel leaving Ferrari is the absolute carnage behind the scenes.
Sergio Marchionne just coming in and wielding his axe. Wielding his axe?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Wielding his axe. I want to say yielding for some reason. Wielding his axe.
No, he needs to do that.
Yeah, he does need to yield his axe, but he's going to wield it instead. throughout the garage, just constantly stomping through. You know, they get to Europe, they get to the race at Barcelona, and the
guy who polishes the wheel nuts all of a sudden is Seb's chief race engineer because everybody else has been sacked.
Yeah, he basically he walks through the garage, swings his axe, everyone is gone, and like you say, the man whose job it is probably not even a Ferrari employee. He probably works for Pirelli. He's just putting the tyres in the back of the garage. He gets picked. You there? You're a team boss now. What?
Well,
I was only here to empty the bins.
Yeah.
Would I be out of order to say that he seems to... Well, not out of order. Would I be wrong to say that he seems to be filling the Ron Dennis role at Ferrari?
Sergio Marchionne.
Yeah, a little bit power crazed, micromanaging, and sack happy. Allegedly.
Except Ron Dennis won championships.
Yeah. But I think he's... As McLaren weren't capable of winning, he thought he could make that car faster by just being more of a prick, and I don't think that worked. And I think that's kind of what Marchione's doing.
It's like the kind of company boss when sales figure, when income is down.
Yeah, it can't be down because I don't want it to be.
Fires the sales force to reduce costs, and then wonders why sales have dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that appears to be Marchione's style of management.
Salesforce were a rubbish superhero group.
Yeah. The other thing is, of course, one thing that may make Vettel leave, and it's down to Marchione wielding the axe. He could actually sack the guy that draws up the contract, so there's nobody there to do it for next season.
Yeah.
There's another thing as well, is that Vettel's been very unhappy last year.
Marchione needs to zip his mouth, basically.
But apart from that, I mean, I don't think there's a... If he has another terrible year this year, and let's say he can't get himself in a Mercedes, McLaren isn't competitive, I don't think it's beyond realms of possibility that he could just go, fuck this.
I think he can get himself into a Mercedes.
Oh no, I'm just saying if he can't.
I think there will be a seat. If Ferrari are getting rid of Vettel, it's going to be to bring in the driver who's going to save Ferrari, which is what they do every couple of years. And it's going to be Hamilton.
Do you think Hamilton will go there?
I don't know about that, but I'm sure Ferrari would. Ferrari would be after him as the man who will save Ferrari,
and will pay him handsomely.
Here is a massively large amount of money, and you get all your own image rights.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he would choose to go there because I don't think he'd fit well with the culture.
I don't think you get the freedom that he has with Mercedes.
No.
And I think that Mercedes is a better fit for brand Hamilton than Ferrari.
Yeah, also look at Mercedes have been part of Lewis's development since he was 13 years old.
Since Ron Dennis grew him in a test tube.
Yeah, but it was always Mercedes who gave him a lot of backing. He was driving Mercedes cars in lower formulas because McLaren don't own teams lower down.
I wouldn't put it past seeing Hamilton in a Williams. He followed what's his name?
Lowe followed Hamilton.
Lowe followed Hamilton, and apparently that both their moves were they were both very knowledgeable about what each other was planning on doing.
Yeah.
I think as good as Allison is, if he goes to Mercedes,
which still hasn't been confirmed, which is odd.
Which is very odd. But I think Lowe leaving Mercedes is a much bigger blow to Mercedes than they're actually pretending it is.
Yeah, I think they've moved somebody up to sort of underneath, not at the level that Paddy Lowe was at. They've moved somebody up to be sort of
Well, I'm sure that's what they do. But the thing I always think about when they say, "Oh yeah, we've reshuffled stuff inside the team," and it's always the case of going, "Well, if that person was capable of doing the job in the first place, surely he already would have been there."
Yes.
But
although if they're looking for somebody high ranking, Jos Capito is now available, and look at his record of success. I'll stop there.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting idea about Hamilton to Williams.
I think I really do think that Paddy going to Williams is going to help that team. Not this year, obviously.
He's essentially the team chief.
Yeah.
He's doing what Patrick Head's old job was, and I think they need it.
I think they need it as well, and I think it's going to be a case where, I mean, when you look at the experience he's had from McLaren to Mercedes, it's he could be that key guy that can organise a team.
Well, look at it this way: McLaren have fallen apart since Paddy Lowe left.
Yeah, definitely. And don't forget. See, that's the thing as well, because the Paddy Lowe's like Paddy Lowe's design work, and I think he had a big hand in aero as well, didn't he? If I'm not wrong.
I don't know. I mean, I remember
Don't
saying
know
on
offhand.
last week's podcast.
It's when he left. I know there was a smash and grab by a couple of teams on McLaren. There was a few people left,
Yeah.
but I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any. Fucking hell! Where are the words, man? I think there's a correlation between.
He's an engineering guy, not an aero guy.
Yeah, but I think there's a correlation between Paddy Lowe leaving, McLaren's chassis getting worse and worse and worse, and Mercedes having a fucking stonker all of a sudden.
Yeah. It's also worth pointing out as well that Dave Redding, the team manager at McLaren, has also left McLaren and will be joining Paddy Lowe at Williams.
Another Ron man.
Another Ron man at McLaren.
They are really seriously de-Dennising the entire team.
Yeah, completely.
Unless he left.
I think Dave Redding actually left to join Paddy Lowe at Williams. In what capacity? I'm not quite sure, because he was team manager at McLaren. So we'll see how that works out as well, and the Williams restructuring, and what becomes of Rob Smedley in the meantime.
Yeah, what are they going to do with him? Sticking back on,
hang on, are they going to Smedley Rob Smedley?
sticking back on the pit wall and just make him Massa's race guy again?
Possibly, we don't know.
No, well, he wants to stay back at the factory, doesn't he? I think he wants to spend more time with his family.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons he doesn't want to go to races anymore. That's one of the reasons for the shuffle there. So he will be taking a job at the factory, I thought.
Possibly.
That could well be. Talking of sort of...
It's a very long-winded answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But where's Vettel going to go? To McLaren.
Yeah, because he's going to follow Alonso.
You think?
Followed him to Ferrari.
Yeah. I think
that's
he'll
not-
retire. I think he'll take a sabbatical or something like that. I think he'll go for a year.
Yeah, I don't think if he can't go to Mercedes, I don't see him going anywhere else other than maybe McLaren if they show a marked improvement this year.
It would have to be an absolutely massive one.
But see, the other thing you've got to think these days as well is like Seb was, if I'm not wrong, like the first of the uber young drivers, wasn't he? When we started seeing people exceptionally young coming into Formula One.
Still in the teens, yeah.
Yeah.
He was 19, I think, when he made his debut in 2007.
Yeah.
When he replaced Kubica after
20.
that crash.
Yeah.
And I think he scored a point in his first race.
Yeah.
And then when he was in with Toro Rosso the following season, he was 20 years old.
But I wonder whether we're going to start seeing with these younger drivers a quicker turnaround for them, because sure they're going to be fit enough to carry on doing that, and they're going to be young enough, but there must be a point where you're just burnt out from living a life of Formula One up to that point.
Just like what Jensen said, this is all I've
Yeah.
done for the last 17 years.
Yeah.
17 years. I need a break.
Yeah, so
All
I mean,
eyes
at that
are on-
point, it doesn't matter whether you're 40 when you decide that or whether you're 30. It's the period of time that is the thing.
All eyes will be on Lance Stroll and how he copes with the physical demands of his first season of Formula One. But it's interesting to point out as well, Carlos Sainz has had to almost double his training regime before 2017 for other seasons that he's done in Formula One, because the fitness levels to drive these new cars are apparently going to increase so much that he's actually had to build quite a bit of muscle mass to.
He's had to put 5 kilos of muscle on. I read.
Yeah.
Toro Rosso released a video last week of Carlos Sainz in training, and I thought the training regimes from last year looked bloody brutal. That is nothing compared to what he was going through this year.
No, but these are proper
Top athletes.
Yeah,
These are top athletes, but
No, but the train regimes now are like proper Formula One train regimes would have been back in 1997.
before the days of
Yeah, or 97.
power steering
Yeah.
and when you actually had to physically wrench the car round corners.
Well, no, it's not even so much the power steering thing. It's going to be the G-force, I'd have thought. No, if you, the extra time is not going to come from a straight line. It's going to come from cornering.
It's going to be faster in the corners, so it's going to be more G-force on your neck. But they're doing the same sort of training routines that they used to do before the full power steering was in, to be able to cope with the upper body strength. And now it's just concentrating on the areas that the G-force is going to affect.
Max Verstappen will be an interesting one to see, because it sounds so fucking bad for me to say, well, Max Verstappen doesn't come across as one of the fittest Formula One drivers, but if you get a grueling race, Max Verstappen looks like he's had a grueling race. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas Lewis steps out, ruffles his hair, walks off.
He gets a towel and he's sound. Yeah.
But then Max Verstappen is young and quite lean.
Yeah, well, this is what I mean. So
Lewis has had a long time to actually build his fitness and his stamina levels up.
Yeah.
And he's done it gradually over time, because when Lewis first came in,
some of these guys have got to do it in 12 months.
Yeah.
Now.
When Lewis first came into Formula One, he was, I won't say scrawny, but he was thin looking.
Yeah.
Now you can see a lot more neck muscles.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Lewis Hamilton used to look wrecked at the end of races in his first couple of years.
Well, he had a hangover.
That's before party Lewis.
He'd just been partying that much he was tired.
Oh, right. Sorry. I hate it when you get dead tired and crash your car.
I know, I crash my Pagani's under all the time in Monaco when I'm really tired.
Yeah, you've actually been barred from Drive Club.
I'm not even taking the Pagani out anymore. I just drive the Porsche most of the time because I know I can wrap that up and get another one.
Yeah, fair enough.
What was that? Oh, Ed Forsyth, or Ed Force 1 Forsyth.
Or Esteban Gutierrez when Formula Lee opens again.
Yeah, Ed 11th place Forsyth. Can we get any more nicknames in from him?
No.
Ed Force 1's a good one.
Seeing that Rosberg apparently didn't give Bottas any advice on beating Lewis, what advice would you give him on the subject?
On how to beat Lewis?
Yeah.
Don't know, never done it.
I would... You've beaten Jensen Button. What advice would you have?
Just go for it.
All the Valtteri Bottas can do is...
Well done, Dan.
Believe in yourself and you can do it.
Join us next week for the next edition of Dan's Motivational Moment.
If you believe in it, you can achieve in it.
I like that.
Bottas is in a complete no-win of a situation. If he beats Lewis...
He's not going to beat Lewis.
Yeah, that's the thing. If he beats Lewis, people are going to say Lewis had technical difficulties. Lewis is going to say he had technical difficulties. And the team aren't going to give him the opportunity to have a fair fight. Mm-hmm. Because regardless of what's been said, he's going in as number 2.
He's in a no-lose situation. If he doesn't beat Lewis...
I'm with Dan.
He's only just getting used to the car and the team. Everything's changed for him. He wasn't expecting this. He's not planned for...
And no one's expecting him to beat Lewis.
Yeah.
So if he does, awesome. If he doesn't, it's what people were expecting.
The best thing that Bottas can do for his career from this point forward, especially if he wants to be driving the Mercedes in 2018, even if Vettel becomes available, is come second in the races that Lewis wins and win the races that Lewis can't win.
Yeah, that's exactly what he can do.
Fight with Lewis.
Yeah, Valtteri Bottas has got to be his own man. Is the only advice I can give anybody in any sort of competitive sport. Be yourself. Go out and do what you do best.
Unless you can be Batman.
No, not even if you can be Batman. No one wants to be Batman. But don't try to be Nico Rosberg.
Be Nico Rosberg in 2014. Be Nico Rosberg battling against Lewis Hamilton.
If you can
be
be
Valtteri,
Ayrton Senna, try and be Ayrton Senna.
Don't try and be anyone else. Be Valtteri Bottas. Fight with your teammate. If you think you can, if you think you can overtake him, go for it.
Right. Grand. Yeah.
If you can't, don't worry yourself too much about it. No one's expecting you to do it anyway.
I agree and I don't agree with you.
Well, what advice would you give Valtteri Bottas?
Oh no,
Switch on your PlayStation and join Formula League.
no, you're right. As in, I think he needs to stay as close to Lewis as he can do, because if he's capable of challenging him at certain races, like essentially like Rosberg, but I don't think he's as good as Rosberg. That's the problem. But the difference is, it's okay getting beaten by your teammate if people expect you to be beaten by your teammate. It depends how much he's going to be beaten by him, because you're talking about a driver that I don't think towards the twilight of Massa's career was much further down the road than Massa was.
You mean if we get like a dominant Mercedes we've had like the last few years, you could end up with Hamilton winning a race by 20 seconds from Bottas,
Yes.
who could be then a further 20 seconds ahead of somebody else. But that doesn't look good on Valtteri. It looks a lot better on Lewis.
Well, no,
in
but
that.
It still looks a lot better than Hamilton being 20 seconds ahead
Of
and
Raikkonen.
of Bottas and Vettel being quarter of a second behind Bottas.
Yeah, that does, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think it'll be tight enough where if he's not on Hamilton's heels, he's going to have a Red Bull or two in between them.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Put it this way: if I'm right, and Bottas isn't much better than Massa was, not towards the end of last year, and not since he announced his retirement, because that's not a fair comparison. He'd already checked out essentially. But if we take not last year, the year before Massa, and Bottas is probably a better thing, because Massa was essentially still fighting for his seat that year. So if Bottas isn't much better than that Massa, if you stuck that Massa in a Mercedes, where do you expect him to be compared to Lewis Hamilton?
On ability,
Fifth is where you're expecting
on
to
ability
be.
and the car, he should be up with him. But
I think he would be, because Felipe Massa was a very good number 2 driver.
No, that's grand, but how it's not just being a number 2 driver that they're going to need. They're going to need somebody that can push forward, and I don't think Bottas is the man. I think he was almost the man, but it faded.
that British Grand Prix failure destroyed him.
Yeah. I mean, he could turn it all around. This is the thing. His entire Formula 1 career is in his hands this year.
Yeah. He could turn up and go, I'm in a Mercedes now, and have such a different mindset to being in a Williams that couldn't even win the race that it looked like they should win.
Yeah.
And that could make a big difference for him. The other thing that could either help or hinder him is if the Red Bulls are really close and team orders come into play and they say, we need you to drive as a number 2 driver, we need you holding up the Red Bulls.
Yeah.
If he can do that well, and if Lewis bins it or car explodes on a couple of races,
He can win the race.
and he can pull away from the Red Bulls to show, I'm doing my job as a number 2 driver and holding them up.
Yeah. But I
I'm
can
fast-
race them when
I'm
I want.
faster than that.
Yeah.
When I don't have to do
Like
that.
like I said, come second in the races that Lewis is winning, win
Yeah.
the races that Lewis can't win.
Let's be honest about that. There have been a couple of qualifying sessions with Williams where Williams were not on the pace all weekend at some races, and I'm not just talking 2016. I'm talking the last few years. Not on the pace. 10th, 11th, maybe dropping behind the Red Bulls, the Ferraris, sometimes the Lotuses or Renault as they are now. And they think, Williams aren't having so much of a good weekend. And then it would come to qualifying, and Massa would get knocked out in Q2, and Bottas would qualify 4th. And you'd be like, how?
I don't think that happened an awful lot.
When the Williams was struggling, Bottas made a better job of it than Massa did.
Maybe. But, yeah, I mean, see, well, as he should do, but he should be beating Massa.
Yeah.
I think it's... as much as it was the boring option for us as fans, it's now going to be one of the more interesting stories over the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or really boring if they keep on interviewing Valtteri Bottas.
I tell you what, it could completely turn everything on its head if come to Australia if Bottas out-qualifies Hamilton.
Yeah. Which could happen.
Yeah, and because everybody would look at Bottas in a different light then, because you've got the guy that everyone thinks is the quickest over one lap, and he goes and beats him on his first time in the car.
Yeah. I'm proposing a new nickname for Bottas for this season, just based on the interviews that he's done.
Kimmy without the ice cream.
Don't fuck it.
No, because he was Ice Boy.
He was.
Yeah. Vanilla ice cream man. He's just meh.
Can you keep that to yourself?
No.
Are you sure?
Do you want me to edit that out?
Maybe.
Tough.
Vanilla ice man.
That's now the most offensive thing that's been said on this podcast tonight, and that's well done.
Well, no, vanilla, just
No.
Stop.
by default.
Collaborate and listen.
Which he's not doing.
No.
So we've got to stop Hammer Time and stop Collaborate and Listen.
We have.
See?
You see, it works.
No, it works now because Dan made your joke funny.
It's called teamwork, and nobody smedleyed it.
Dan said 10 things today, and one of them was to make your joke funny.
We're going to miss him for these next 3 weeks.
Secret Dan on a secret mission.
From God.
Or a holiday.
Secret mission.
A secret
Well,
holiday.
that's what he's telling us.
Yeah.
Got a great one from Christopher Boucher. What's the perfect number of
Some
teams?
great names.
Yes,
isn't it?
awesome names.
He sounds like a motorbike. Carry on.
Yeah, what's the perfect number of teams? I was at the US Grand Prix in 2014 with 18 cars, and it was miserable. For fans at the track, you need more cars. Yeah, you do. I think 22 or 24 is the ideal number for me. But they've all got to be competitive with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got 20 cars going into the 2017 season. I want to see Formula One open up an entrance list again, or whichever way this new owners of Formula One want to go about it. Maybe approaching well-established teams, something like that, and advise that they follow the model of Haas, or if any new team came into Formula One and didn't want to follow the model of Haas, where they were essentially 75% or 85% of another car, would be silly, because Haas made the best of what they were given and made a mockery of the other three new teams.
They
that
showed
had
how it
entered.
should be done.
Yeah, made a mockery of the three teams that entered in 2010, because they tried to go it alone and it really didn't work for them at all. And now all three of them are gone.
But unfortunately, already Ford, BMW, and Toyota have all said no.
Yeah, they have.
Don't even bother asking us.
Oh no, I'm not saying necessarily a manufacturer, but a racing team from another series, or something along those lines, from one of the junior Formula teams that might have the money ready to step up to Formula One, and for example might have ties with Renault, and Renault go, okay, yeah, you can use 85% of our components, but then after that you're on your own. Be interesting to see how Haas do this year as to whether or not
the top and bottom of it
they
is
do it.
If you've got Haas, which is like a world-renowned racing team with the facilities they have, and they still felt the need to come in piggybacking off Ferrari.
Yeah.
That's the top and bottom of it is these teams need vetted. Just coming in and going, jolly hockey sticks, let's have a go at racing, isn't good enough. There needs to be a plan. If you walked into a bank and said you want a business loan for something, unless you could put together like a solid plan, they're going to go and tell you to fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Or go away.
Pretty much. I'd probably just say no and go away politely. But yeah, I want to see a few more teams on the grid, because I don't think 20 is quite enough. But I agree with what you said, Paul. If they come in and they're like Caterham, Marussia, and HRT Hispania, where there's no point.
No.
If they come in and follow the Haas model, they're midfield runners from the word go. Awesome. I'd love to see that. And I think I remember
if there were to be a budget cap, then I wouldn't mind seeing Caterham, Marussia, that sort of ilk of team, bit off the rest of the pack, but fighting amongst themselves. So you've got
some fighting going on.
2 championships.
But we had that with Caterham, Virgin, Marussia.
Yeah, but they were competing to
And
stay
Hispania.
alive rather than to.
I mean, this actually fits in nicely with something that Ashley Woodhouse has asked. Because he said, as Sauber the next manner, will we end up with more teams that aren't as competitive, almost like a B class? Personally, I think it'll devalue the sport, and will we ever see 30 cars on an F1 grid?
The 26, I think, is about right. 24 or 26.
I think there's a limit, isn't there?
There was, but that was the last Concord agreement. I think they scrapped it in the
Isn't there only
current
three?
one.
Isn't there only 3 free places?
For teams.
Yeah,
which would make it up to 26.
yeah.
Yeah. See, I think 24 or 26 is a good number. I just do. I don't know why. I just think when I think back to the early 90s and you had, I think it was like 30 cars enter pre-qualifying and 26 starting the race.
Yeah.
Or
And let's not confuse more with better.
No, exactly. Because look at the mid 90s, you had Simtech,
Yeah.
Pacific, 40, Fond Metal as well, and it was at the 80s.
That lasted one season before they sort of folded into Minardi.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and you don't want those teams. Well, I don't want those teams. It's good to have the cars there, but you don't want them trailing far back.
There's nothing wrong with being a plucky underdog either. But
No,
you've got
of
to be
course not.
plucky with being your underdog.
You got to be Jordan.
Yeah.
Don't be Spiker.
Or more, even Minardi are a prime example of it. Because it's not just the fact that the difference between Minardi and Caterham and Mauritia and the rest of the guys as it went under is like Minardi had some fucking clever people in there, and the amount of things that would turn up on a Minardi and then turn up on a fucking Ferrari after it, because they were doing the shit behind the scenes.
yeah.
Not only the things on the car, the drivers as well.
Yeah, because if you
Mark
look back,
Webber.
if you look back to
Fernando
then,
Alonso.
Yeah.
Minardi and Tyrrell were in a race with each other to gain an extra half second on the other team.
Yeah.
And then you'd see that new development suddenly appear on another car.
Yeah.
Because I think Tyrrell was the first team with the X-Wings.
Yeah.
And then within 6 months, everyone was using them on high downforce
I believe
circuits.
they were the first ones with the little winglets as
I
well.
was gonna say the winglets on top of the air boxes.
and the little
Side
ones
pods.
towards the side pods.
Yeah.
Tyrrell did that first before anyone else.
Yeah.
If the extra teams that come in merit their place, I'm all for seeing a bigger grid.
Yeah.
But as far as a B championship goes, we've been through
Customer
that.
cars.
Yeah, we've been through that once. We don't want it again.
I actually don't think I'm repeating myself here from a couple of podcasts ago, but customer cars way forward. I think if you can buy 85% of a car from a manufacturer, Honda, Mercedes, Renault. If you can buy 85% of a car from them, and then you develop your own team, and you're able to do that. That has to be the model that's followed, because you do get in things like, and I think I use MotoGP as an example, it's like the satellite teams. You do get the satellite teams fighting it out with the works teams. Not all the time, but sometimes that happens.
I think there should be a limit on it, though. There should be a limit on how many teams can give their customer car, unless there's...
Otherwise you'd end up with like 12 Mercedes
Exactly,
teams.
yeah. But I mean, the only other thing that would work would be if Formula One as an entity paid Dallara or Ford or someone like that to build a Formula One car.
A Dallara Cosworth that, if you're an entrant and you're not a manufacturer, you
can
race that your first couple of
buy
years.
the car. Yeah.
Car in a box.
Yeah.
That could work.
Because let's face it, it would save some money to the point as well that they might be able to get a fucking driver.
Here's your car in a box, you develop it.
Yeah.
Basic kit form. One from John Sears that's actually coming while we've been recording tonight.
Hello, John.
Who's going to be the surprise success this season? I don't know if we're going to see any surprises at the minute.
I don't know. Lance Stroll could be,
Yeah.
or could be the surprise failure. It
Est-
depends
Esteban
on whether you.
Ocon.
Yeah. Esteban Ocon's a great call. I don't know that Stoffel Van Dorn would be a surprise as such.
I think he'd be surprised.
People are expecting him to be quite good.
Bottas could be the surprise success.
Yeah.
Could well be.
Ferrari could be.
I was just going to say for Sebastian Vettel, if he goes and starts winning races and stuff like that, and then
Well, Ferrari were looking strong towards the back end of of last year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just depends who got sacked in the off season.
Well,
we might need to.
If they'd got their shit together, and that's why they were looking stronger, they could have carried that through the off season and turn up in Barcelona and surprise people.
The problem with Ferrari have got, talking about Ferrari, is we will see in the first test, maybe not the first test or any test, but we'll certainly see in Australia how much of a loss Allison is to that team.
Yeah.
Because that could be the fucking death of that. Could see them 7th. If all of a sudden, if they've lost the head aerodynamicist and they're essentially going forward into 2017 with half of a car that they haven't got the guy that was the inspiration behind it.
It'd be interesting to see if we could speak to our friend Sean at some point, either before, during, or after testing, just to get his thoughts on the matter, because power units come into, everybody seems to think that they can tell what power units are doing what during testing, and as to whether, the Renault power units caught up a few horsepower by the looks of things on the Mercedes. But it'd be interesting to see whether the pecking order's changed, whether Ferrari...
Niki Lauda's already said there's going to be no sandbagging during testing, which means...
During the second test, not the first test.
Ah, right.
So you could have...
So we know that Mercedes are going to be sandbagging.
Yeah.
Well, you could have Mercedes up ahead, power unit-wise. Renault maybe not that far behind, but with Red Bull's aero package being awesome, they could be quite close. Ferrari's power unit might be the most powerful. You just don't know. Honda might be... They probably won't be, actually. I'll just shut up.
Renault and Honda have had complete redesigns, haven't they?
Complete, yeah. From the ground up.
Yeah.
Have
And
Ferrari?
Don't know. There's no token system. Token system's gone. So in-season engine development, Honda sees something's not working. Honda have got the money to sit back and go, we'll redo that then.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, essentially without...
All the petrol's meant to go in the engine, not round it.
I think it's without the token system, you're going to have whatever a team thinks is going to provide performance come Australia is going to be in the car. Do you know, if it's past,
even if it's not turned on. It's in the car because it has to be there from the beginning of the season. We might switch it on.
If it's gone through R&D and been on a dyno and it's worked, it'll be on the cars.
Yeah.
Rob Smedley believes the car that starts off quickest in Australia will not be the same as in Abu Dhabi.
No, it will get developed as the season goes on.
Well, no, it'll be a different car that's quicker at the end of the season than.
Is he saying?
I'm going to quote Patrick Head here, who says anybody who thinks that the order will be shuffled because the regulations change in 2017 must have rocks in their head.
I don't. Why would he say that?
He obviously
has
a wealth of knowledge.
He obviously thinks that some teams will improve more than others over the course of the season.
He's been very. We'll see. We'll see if his first prediction's right. That all the cars are going to look identical. We'll see. We'll find that out.
That was
soon.
Pat Fry, wasn't it? Who said that? Was it Pat Fry?
I might be Pat Fry.
Pat Fry, who said that all
Did
the
you
cars.
say Patrick Head?
Patrick Head, yeah. Pat Fry said that all the cars are going to look identical, and if you painted them the same colour, you wouldn't be able to tell one apart from the other.
See, Pat Fry, I found what he was talking about 2017 because. What has he essentially been nudged out of Williams, or
he was at Ferrari, wasn't he? And then did he go to Williams after?
Yeah, he went
Ferrari?
to. He's been at Williams now for about 4 years, but he came across as being quite bitter about things.
Yeah, possibly.
But I think anyone that underestimates Red Bull closing the gap or overtaking it, I don't care who you are. I don't care what you are in Formula One. If you underestimate that, you're a fucking idiot.
I think that's going to depend a lot on the Renault engine, because if the redesign has hurt it, and it may well do, because
they're already hinted at, haven't they?
Yeah, what they've said is they've reached the end of what they can do with the current ones, so they've ripped it apart, built a new one, and that will have improvements that they can make to it.
Yeah.
So that suggests that it's not the best Renault engine that it could be.
Yeah.
Whether it will be better than the one that they were running with at the tail end of last year.
Yeah.
don't know.
And
Well,
whether-
the other thing the other thing to consider with the Renault engine development is it's been a complete package for Renault this season because they've developed the engine and the car at the same time to work well with each other, rather than building an engine that's going to be going into a Red Bull, albeit with a different name on it, and then having to modify their car to fit in around the engine that they'd already designed effectively for somebody else.
I think very liquid bottles were used in last year's Renault car. You know, to make the side pods.
So
In terms of surprise leaps forward,
that could actually be Renault, because they will have developed the car and the engine round each other, and Red Bull are going to be the ones who are going to be more on the back foot because they're now being presented with an engine that's not been designed for them.
Yeah.
They just get told what shape hull they've got to have in the back of their car to put it in.
Sorry, I just imagine the very liquid advert then with Kevin Magnussen going, "Oh, Mum, is it done yet? I need a rear diffuser."
With
mild
green, very liquid.
so given that Red Bull are the most successful Renault engine team, are they really going to say, "Here's your engine, just you need to make a hole this size," or would they work with Red Bull to design it?
I think Red Bull would have had some input, but it would have been minor compared to what Renault wanted for this engine redesign, based around what the Renault car designers wanted the engine to do.
Yeah, but don't forget as well.
I don't
Renault
think so.
Renault sort of made a car work that had a
It had a Mercedes-shaped hull in the back.
Exactly, yeah. For designed by Lotus designers, which it was the same team, but I mean they weren't designing that car to run with that power unit. I mean that does change everything. The way the power unit reacts to a car. They're not as much of a muchness as a lot of people might think they are. You can't just put one engine in the back of a car and be like, well, let's hope that works. You've got to change other things around it. So Renault actually worked incredibly hard to do what they did.
Oh yeah, everything
during 2016.
I'm not taking away anything that Renault achieved last season.
But I mean,
except for Jolyon Palmer in Monaco.
They've got the 2017 is like their first, the first prepared full year back as Renault Enstone team. This is a big deal for them. I would be surprised if Renault didn't make a leap forward. Actually, I would be more surprised if Renault was static and sort of back midfield runners.
Yeah, they need to improve.
I think they'll be where McLaren were last year.
Fighting for points quite often.
Yeah. I also think Red Bull will have still the de facto works team relationship with Renault, because if what Renault say about their car is right, that they need 3 years or 4 years and $800 million to get that car to a championship winning car again, they wouldn't purposely or albeit like accidentally cripple the team that can get Renault wins in championships.
Yeah.
That and the fact that they've got they're getting money off Red Bull and
Toro Rosso as well.
And Toro Rosso, because they're both customers.
Yeah.
I think Red Bull have the most chance to surprise us by not being as good as we think they're going to be.
Yeah.
Toro Rosso as well, with their aero package last year. Had they not had an old engine in the back of the car, might have done really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially later on in the season.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see. I mean, it's interesting to see how they do with a 2017 engine, with how they cope with the aero changes and things like that, because they might do just as well.
I mean, when you look at how Force India have improved every year in recent history as well, I don't think they can move forward another step. I don't think they can be in the top three.
You don't think third's on the cards?
No. Their job is Williams' job. What Williams wanted to do, which was fucking hold for.
Yeah, they need to consolidate.
Yeah.
And be closer to third than they were this year.
Yeah.
Getting third, it's very unlikely unless either Red Bull are really struggling or Ferrari are really struggling or both.
Well, you see,
Or someone at that Force India team is an absolute genius.
Yeah. Which, to be honest, they are, to get the results that they're getting out of the budget that they're getting.
Yeah.
and even the philosophy of whatever that nostril thing does, that obviously works for that car.
Yeah.
Which proves that they are going about building a Formula One car different to the rest of the grid.
They're doing it their way.
Yeah.
Well, effectively, they're doing what Minardi and Tyrrell were doing
Yeah.
in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hang on, will this work? Yeah, it does. Right, we'll go for it. It's just the only difference is nobody else has managed to make it work on their cars.
Yeah. So, I mean, I suppose their little nostril thing does the same thing as that hole in the front of the Red Bull. It's just a different way about going around there,
Yeah.
moving air and displacing it. It's probably a more elegant situation, I'd have thought, by the looks of it. You know?
Yeah.
I'm disappointed more teams don't do that, but
Yeah. No,
Yeah, nostrils over beaks any day.
yeah, definitely. And all of it over dildos. But
Yeah.
it's going to be cool. I can't wait.
Yeah. Just got there's another one here from Alicia Hernandez Grande. I think I got that right.
Alicia Hernandez Grande.
Yeah.
So, like, his surname's massive.
It's like Ariana Grande.
Mr. Big.
It's a traditional Spanish-Mexican way of doing surnames. You have both your parents' surnames in your surname.
Yeah.
Mother's name. It's like Ayrton Senna da Silva.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the way that it's done.
He dropped his father's name. and ran
I
with
said
the
more
name
that
Senna.
his surname's massive.
Oh, right.
Right.
I thought you were making a comment. Yeah, well, yeah, anyway. Long time listener, but first time asking a question.
Thank you, Alicia.
Checo Perez took part in an anti-Trump, anti-border wall protest alongside the Mexico Grand Prix track itself. I'm living in the US, so I know that they're contributing to a wider decentralised protest. And I remember Perez dropping his sunglasses sponsor over a Trump-related tweet, but how common is it for drivers to take part in political protests? And what about the tracks themselves?
It's uncommon.
Yeah, I couldn't find any political statements by drivers.
The only one that sprung to my mind was Mark Webber talking about Bahrain.
Yeah.
After being asked not to talk about Bahrain.
Yeah.
I think in general the drivers will try to be fairly neutral because they don't want to offend anyone, and it's not their job to talk and think about politics.
I think there's as much as these are are heroes of ours, you can't forget the fact that they're all very privileged people that come from very privileged backgrounds, and in general, people like that seem to care a little bit less about some people. Well,
No, I think that's a bit unfair.
it's a
because,
generalisation, but I don't think it's wrong.
I mean, let's get stupidly basic with politics for a second. Michael Schumacher, racing driver, hero to many Germans. Now, those Germans are going to have many different opposing views in politics. They go one way or the other. You know, maybe far left, maybe far right, maybe straight down the middle, maybe quite,
All the spectrum in between.
Yeah. Maybe quite libertarian, maybe quite authoritarian. Authoritarian? I know what I mean. He could have lost an awful lot of fans or caused a bit of a ruckus if he came out and spoke about something politically that didn't sit well with a group of his fans or a large portion of his fans, because somebody like Michael Schumacher has fans all over the world. There could have been something happening somewhere in the world.
In those case situations, it's best to keep your opinions as your opinions, maybe.
Yeah, correct. And I think that's what, Formula One drivers are global. They're watched globally, and they are, they're listened to globally as well. It's quite brave of Checo Perez to do what he did, drop his sunglasses sponsor.
The other thing to remember is that ultimately the people paying their salaries are the sponsors.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not like the acting world where you can...
You are the product.
You are the product, and you
Yeah.
can afford to stridently make an opinion without it affecting your career.
Yeah.
On the
with the
sunglasses
drivers,
front,
they're the commodity. effectively.
On the sunglasses front, though, it's not like there's not a lot of sunglass company want to stick the sunglasses on Formula One drivers.
Well, pretty much there's one sunglasses company,
Well,
isn't there?
Oakley.
Luxottica,
Always been a Ray-Ban.
The only other one I can
owned
think,
by Luxottica.
Are they? Oh, right, okay.
the only other one I can think is when it was going tits for Spain. I think I mentioned on the podcast before, and people were pulling money out of Spain. Alonso moved all his money to Spain, and quite publicly said, "He's like, I'm keeping my money in my country because my country needs it right now." And
Which it is a political move, doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of many other political standpoints being made. I mean, political unrest in lots of countries, South American countries.
And Senna was quite vocal about like poverty in Brazil.
Poverty is not necessarily, you're not attacking a policy or.
I think when you talk about the divides between rich and the poor, it's pretty pointed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did he actually talk about how to solve it? Because it's one thing to say poverty is really bad. You don't get many people saying, "No, it's not. It's great."
No, I think it wasn't the case.
Well, I don't know. You got Bernie saying it's great for everyone else that isn't me.
Yeah, he wasn't so much as trying to come up with the solutions to it. He was more trying to direct
attention to it.
Yeah.
Which is a great thing to do. Let's be honest. But political statements as far as Sergio Perez has gone to join. Basically, join forces with his Mexican compatriots to ensure they're not
marginalised.
Yeah, marginalised. Thank you. Very, very, very good use of the word marginalised. By the American people is wonderful. I think it is anyway.
Yeah.
It's not. He's not made. As far as I know, he's not put out an actual vocal statement. But him standing there, just being there for his people of his country is
it just shows that he is supporting his own country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He stands with them.
Yeah.
Doesn't just say something nice to sort of get spirits up. He's actually there.
Yeah.
So you can't accuse him of being a slacktivist.
No.
Yeah. Click here if you think he is. I have to turn that around.
But no, it is. It's good to see. It's good to see somebody with presence trying to do something.
Yeah.
It always is, unless it's Bono.
It will be very interesting to see if he has anything to say or do at the USGP come October. Whether he doesn't join in the national anthem parade.
Speaking of which, though, he'll be in a very privileged position to say what he wants in support of his own country, given the fact that most of the sponsorship coming into his team comes from that country.
Well, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's what we were saying.
Yeah,
that's exactly
sorry,
the point that Dan made before.
It just all lumped in there. So
No,
yeah.
I hadn't thought about the fact that it's effectively Carlos Slim,
Yeah, pretty much.
very rich Mexican, supporting his team,
Yeah.
which does make it easier for him to make political statements.
Yeah.
But no, that's a good question.
That is a really good question. So thanks to Alicia and to everyone else that sent us a question or an email or a tweet or a
It's quite
Facebook
an
message.
extensive mailbag tonight.
It is, yeah.
Just as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Hence why I put an emergency appeal out this morning. And I will continue to do that on weeks where there's very little in the way of news, which hopefully there won't be all that many.
No, regardless of news,
next
just
week-
like
but-
to hear.
We've got the Sauber to look forward
But
to
we've got
for
the
next
Sauber
week.
to look forward to next week. But don't let that stop you getting in touch with us.
Ooh, yes, that's Sauber.
I'll save that clip and I'll put it on next week's show just in case they run late.
Yeah.
So if you want to get in touch, you can email us on 3legs4wheels@gmail.com. We've got the Facebook page. Just search for 3legs4wheels. You can tweet us at 3legs4wheels or
At A Total Shunt.
At Flood21.
At Danbert.
and at Pablo100. And of course we've got the Patreon page as well. Massive thank you to all the patrons.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
So not even halfway into February, and we've already had a few new ones this month. So look out for your extra podcast. That'll be you'll get a notification for that tomorrow morning.
Yep.
Why am I saying that as if we're live? You've already had the notification for it because I post these at the same time.
Ba-dum.
And we're only a couple of months off our 100th show now.
Wow.
I mean, I think we're about 4 weeks off having done this for 2 years.
That's mental.
Oh, it's crazy.
And in that time, it's in 2 months' time, 8 weeks, it will be our 100th show. We are going to try and get something special for it.
Yep.
We're already working on it now.
Yep.
We've still got no idea what we're doing, but we're still working on it. But if you've got any suggestions for the 100th show that are legal and physically possible,
Let us know.
let us know. If they're not, tell Lee. And we'll be back next week. Although, Dan, you're not going to be with us for a little while.
No, I'm off on holiday for a few weeks.
Secret Agent Dan, not on holiday. He's off on a secret mission.
We can't say what it is, but have you noticed they're just starting to film the new Bond film and they want research material for it?
Yeah. Stuntman Dan.
So 3 of us will be back next week.
Yep.
And I'm sure Dan will send us a postcard.
I will try to remember to.
Yeah.
I'll bring it back, it's probably quicker.
Yeah.
So we'll see you next week.
Au revoir.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Enjoy the KKK, Dan.